I'm joined by the Conservative MP, Chris Philp. I mean, let's just start on the issues around the culture at Westminster. Should Mrs May not just have got rid of Damian Green once Kate Maltby had made those allegations?
Well, I think it's fair that these things get investigated properly. We saw that terrible case just a few weeks ago where a Welsh minister in the Welsh government was made to resign within a few hours of allegations being made, and the next day he committed suicide. So I think it is important that these things get investigated properly. That's what's happened here. A conclusion was reached that Damian Green had unfortunately made statements a few weeks ago that were inaccurate, and as a consequence the Prime Minister was quite right to ask for his resignation, which, as you say, he gave. So that is the right way to do things: investigate things properly and make sure we get to the bottom of allegations rather than just having instant reactions, which can sometimes have tragic results, as they did with that awful case in Wales.
Now, a number of your colleagues have suggested this morning that the fact Mrs May was willing to sack him somehow suggests she's rediscovered her authority. But isn't the truth, we've had, 8 weeks? We've seen 3 ministers forced to go, 2 of the most senior ministers, Defence Secretary and now First Secretary. I mean, to people looking on, it looks like a sort of building with bits and pieces falling off it.
Well, look, even Nostradamus couldn't have seen or foreseen the issues with Priti Patel, Michael Fallon and Damian Green. So there's no way in which Theresa May is responsible for that. What matters as Prime Minister is how she responds, and she responded in the right way. In the case of Priti Patel, there were no dispute about the facts, and so she acted very quickly. In the case of Damian Green, clearly there were disputes about the facts, and that's why she launched a proper investigation. So what we see here is a Prime Minister who is acting decisively but also acting properly, and that is exactly what you want to see in the person charged with leading our country through things like the Brexit negotiations, which of course are also going well, with the news a week ago that we're moving on. So I think all of us in this country can look forward to 2018 with optimism and with confidence.
Let's just talk a little bit about the personal impact on Mrs May, because much has been made of the close ties between Damian Green and Theresa May. How big a personal loss will it be to her not to have him in cabinet?
Well, I mean, that's a very hard question for me to answer. I mean, clearly they have been personal friends for a long time. They were at university together, and she chose to appoint him as First Secretary of State, which of course is a sign of political and personal closeness. So I'm sure she will be disappointed this has happened. But as Damian Green himself said a few years ago, no one is irreplaceable. There are plenty of very capable people in Parliament on both sides of the House, and the Prime Minister, I'm sure, will find someone very well equipped to fill that role, and government will carry on.
And are you surprised by Damian Green's reaction? Because he says he doesn't recognise Miss Maltby's version of events. He seems to dispute any wrongdoing. He regrets the fact he's been asked to go. I mean, he doesn't quite seem to get it.
Well, I mean, look, he's had a 20-plus year career in public life. This is clearly not the way he would have wanted it to sort of unfold. So, but I'm not going to offer any sort of commentary or criticism on Damian Green. I mean, he's going to be feeling dreadful this morning, and we should have some, sensitivity and sympathy for that as well.
And one last thought: we saw Mrs May criticising the police or former police officers. Jeremy Hunt too questioned about the role of them in a democracy. I mean, this is quite dangerous territory, isn't it, to be at loggerheads with the police in this way? Well,
for me, the behaviour of Neil Lewis and Bob Quick, the 2 police officers, is far more serious than anything that's been alleged against Damian Green. They took confidential information which they obtained in the course of a criminal investigation. The information was by no means criminal at all, and they maliciously leaked it. In fact, Bob Quick tried to leak it, I think, on 2 or 3 occasions. It's taken him about 8 years or 10 years to get it out. So I think they should be investigated for misconduct in public office. That's a criminal offence. I think what they've done is completely wrong. It undermines trust in the police. How can any of us, trust giving information to the police if senior officers leak in this way? So I think the Commissioner, she is investigating it internally. I think it needs to be investigated from a criminal perspective, and the CPS need to have a close look at it, because the conduct of Neil Lewis and Bob Quick in this affair was absolutely shocking.
Okay, Chris Philp, thanks very much.